Hey guys, so it's been a while since I did an outlook video, so I'm going to go through a couple pairs. I haven't decided which one yet, but I'll do it as I go along. So starting off EU, blank charts on the weekly time frame. You can see that if you zoom out, we are heavily bearish. we've been bearish since like 2008. So right now we're in this bearish leg from this point, this high point, to this low. And you can see we've tapped into the discount pricing of this leg, and we could potentially continue lower. That's fine. And then if you zoom in, if you look really closely, this is like the last level of demand, and this is where the supply zone is. The supply zone also has a sweep of a high. You can see that. We pushed up. Tried to push down and then pushed up again and broke this low. So then this was like inducement, and then these highs here as well, and then it tapped into this refined weekly supply zone. And then these were inducement and it swept. Right now you can see that we are reacting to some sort of demand on the weekly time frame, which is also like the daily time frame as well. So if you go back to the daily, you can see, if we just zoom this out, this is like the daily supply zone that we've marked on. This is like the refined, and then this is the weekly that we are talking about. This is the same as on my normal charts as well, but I just wanted the blank charts to just go through the thought process and everything. So right now we've reacted to a higher time frame supply. Sorry. And then we've swept these lows and broke to the upside. This is a demand area that we're in. This is the weekly demand, but if you want to refine it down, this is the daily demand zone that we are in. So you can see that we are bullish on the daily time frame. So this is the last low, and then this is where the shift happens. And then you can see this is all internal, and this is the leg that we're currently in. And then this is like the retracement, and this high should be taken. So let's clear up my charts again. So here is all basically sell side liquidity to target for the future, and then this low would be like the target for sells. But at the moment, if we want to trade what we are trading right now, we are bullish within this bullish leg, and you can put the premium discount tool in, and you can see we're basically in the discount area. When price came in on the daily time frame, we've had a sweep and another sweep. So the double sweep, so we induced buyers here when we broke to the upside, came back down and broke to the downside again, and before pushing up. So we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days of pushing up, and now we are reacting to these buy to sell wicks on the 4-hour time frame. We could potentially continue lower, but we want to see how we react here now, because we are in a a lower time frame discount price it to continue higher. So this could be like a reaction zone, and to continue higher to make a flip zone. But for the time being, if you go on the 4-hour, let's say, you can see these like all this liquidity that needs to be swept. But for the time being, you can mark on this low and this high. If we disregard this supply zone, we are bullish in this sense. We have a couple areas that we can look to sell from, buy from. So we have this flip zone here. I personally think this is going to go because it has no inducement right above the POI, and this is caused by news as well, so it's less likely to hold. We have these demand zones here on the 4-hour, and then obviously like the wick, and of course we have the extreme, which is always valid. There's nothing in here because we've mitigated this demand zone here on the 4-hour. However, this POI hasn't swept any lows like this POI has, so we can see we swept the lows and broke to the upside. This one not on this time frame anyway. This one we've had a sweep of the low and broke to the upside, so this is a valid one for me. And obviously these are in discount pricing. This is just about, and this has no inducement, so we could potentially come lower down. Going on the 1 hour time frame, you can see on the 1 hour we did have a sweep here and the break to the upside, so we can use this doji here on the 1 hour and it's been mitigated. And then here we've had a sweep of the low, and this is the last demand zone here on the 1 hour, and then this is just wicks, to be honest, so you can just refine it down to the unmitigated wicks. So this is all inducement, liquidity to be swept. And then this one, obviously, you can just refine it down to like a tiny zone here as the extreme. Here we can refine this one down to the 1 hour extreme, which is tapped right into. And you can see this was due to news as well from Friday. But there's no clear POI for me to trade from. We have these buy to sell wicks, but they have no inducement unless you count this as inducement. But this is not really structured. This is like a pause in market because it might be a pullback on the lower time frames, but at the moment it's heavily bearish to me. So I would wait for some structure to form. Plus, if you put on the premium discount tool from this high and this low, this is literally in discount pricing for sells. So we want something up here, potentially the extreme, or these wicks here, and then this is this is not really structured to me, so this is liquidity to me, so it may be swept, and then we may be able to come into this POI there or the extreme. So yeah, that's it for EU. We could potentially come lower before moving up to the upside, because if you go on the daily time frame, we are bullish. We've been bullish since basically here, which is October. But keep in mind, we've reacted to a weekly supply zone now that had a sweep of the high and a break to the downside with momentum, and we've swept all that liquidity, so we could potentially continue lower. So keep that in mind. So there's two scenarios we can play, but obviously daily time frame takes days and weeks to form, but so we just make sure on the 4 hour you know where price is at, because price is bullish at the moment. And we're reacting from this supply zone. So yeah, just keep an eye out on what price is doing, if it's breaking new highs or new lows. Okay, moving on to GU quickly, starting off the weekly time frame as well. This, if you zoom out, we are heavily bearish as well. At the moment, we are within this high and this low. You can see we've had a nice rejection candle here, but no reaction to the left. But we are within this bearish leg, like the higher time frame leg. At the moment, we are reacting to some sort of supply within discount, within premium pricing. You just here, not really actually, unless you cover the whole zone. But on the weekly, this is my refined. But we've set the highs here and then we broke to downside. So we can just mark on this range for now. Maybe there's something clearer on the daily time frame. So let's go to the daily time frame. Daily time frame, this hasn't moved as much, like as clean as EU has with it, like structure. If you just look here, EU, you can see like just the significant highs, low, high, low, high, low, high, oops, and so forth. You can see like we are clear with that. But on GU, it's not really that clear, even though you can mark like this is the low, but where does the high start breaking? It doesn't break until this high here, right? And then with this would be the reaction, like the flip zone here. This is where the first point of demand would hold. And then right now, price is just ranging between this high and this low at the moment. So if you just pull that across, we've just about swept these lows. But we're still contained within this range, if that makes sense. And then I'm just gonna refine that down to this one here. Yeah, we've just about tapped into this range here, and then we've set the liquidity here. However, we can come into higher, which is this one here, which is the refined supply, because this is the supply that swept the highs and started the move to downside. So we still have that in mind. But at the moment, we had this area where we reacted from this supply zone, like the last supply zone, because there's no structure forming in here. This is just internal until we came into this supply range or supply zone on the daily time frame, and then we had a push to downside reaction from this and then failure, as you can see. But we haven't come back into this range, so we could potentially do that sooner. I meant soon or whenever. On the daily time frame, you can see we've had, where's my pen? Oh, let's just use this. Here, down, and then this is where it starts shifting to the upside. This is all one leg to me, to be honest. There's no really clear, even though you can have internal on the lower time frame, but this is one leg to me at the moment. And then we have this low, because it's quite a significant pullback. But we haven't made a new high yet as of yet, because we would need a body close and with momentum. And then right now we're just contained within this range on GU. So moving down to 4 hour. 4 hour, you can see, let's see, we've had this range here. Okay, let's do sweep of this high, break of break of structure, reaction to the extreme of this POI, break of structure again, break of structure again, supply zone up here. Haven't tapped into it yet, but this is not really clean 4 hour, to be honest, to me. And then right now you can see we've had another break of structure, and then the extreme, we've had a sweep here and a sweep here as well, so we can use this wick or this candle if you want. And then we had this reaction, as you can see. We can do this sweep and this sweep as well, and before the break of structure, all this liquidity, like double tops, whatever, liquidity to be swept. And then we had another break of structure on the 4 hour, and this is all like recent price action, like March price action. We had a sweep of this low as well. Yeah, sweep of this low, some demand in there. But here is when we shifted on the 4 hour. So we had this high, low, highest point here, lowest point, and then this is where the break happens. So this is the new high, this is the new low, break of structure to the upside, there, and there. And now, right now we are reacting to this some sort of demand. So if you want to zoom in where we are with price, we are bullish on the 4 hour. We have a few areas that we could come back to take. So we have this. So this is be my flip zone, because this is the last, this is like the wick, and we had a reaction with this wick, pushed to downside and broke to the upside basically. But with this POI, there's no sweep within, so it makes it less likely. So this may be ran to come lower. So let's continue. So right now, this is the most recent structure. We had no candle body close to the upside, and now sorry, got distracted. We had another sweep to the upside, and now we have shifted to the downside from Friday. We could potentially come lower, but you know, we are bullish at the moment. So with this low and this high, we want price to come within somewhere in here. The first point of interest I can see is this demand zone here. Why? Because we've had a sweep and a break and broke this high. So this is my 4-hour demand, and then this is like a pausing market. There's no sweep here, but a push up, and this is like a reaction to this sort of supply zone, but this really didn't break anything, so not really valid. Here we've had a sweep and a break, so that's why it price reacted from here, but this is in this premium pricing for buys, so it's very not valid. Here from now we can potentially see this high being swept and then coming into this 4-hour supply zone, but we can probably refine that down on the lower time frame. We could potentially come lower and sweep this liquidity to the downside. So on the 1 hour, we've had a sweep and basically a break to downside. So this is basically valid to me because we've had this sweep, this high being swept, but obviously we have the extreme as well, which is valid. But this was the sweep and this is the shift on the lower time frame here. And then this would be just inducement and liquidity to be taken. But at the moment, if you just look at what price action is doing now, the highest point is here, the lowest point is here. So this is just about in premium pricing for sales. So that could be valid. But right now you can see we've reacted to this demand zone here, but it's in premium pricing for buys, even though we swept these lows and reacted to some sort of demand in here. So this has reacted and this has caused a new high, but there's no like body candle closure to confirm that high, because now we are breaking to the downside. So this is like a slow pullback momentum before potentially coming into this area, sweeping these highs, possibly refined 15-minute. Also, we've swept here as well, this high before this break, so this is quite valid as well. Okay, that's done for that one, and let's go to US 30. Oh, this is so messy, I'm not looking at that. Okay, let's look at gold quickly. Gold, if you zoom out, we are basically bullish. So if we go on the weekly time frame, we've been going up since, you know, long time ago. But at the moment, we are reacting to this. I can see all this was swept. We've had a shift here. Oops. We had a shift here, but we didn't shift it downside. Like, we didn't do like a like this type of entry, not entry, but formation, like a sweep to low, sweep to high. But nonetheless, we swept this liquidity, all that liquidity, so I guess that's fine. Have this extreme demand zone on the weekly time frame, and you can see we are pushing to the upside. We didn't break this high, so this would be the target. We came close to it, and we pulled back from it for quite a while, actually. So, on the weekly time frame, I can see we've had this last supply zone here. Like you can see, push up, down, and then this is where price came to tap into. So this is the supply zone. This is the weekly flip zone, so you can refine it down to this weekly candle. Hasn't been tapped into it yet, so we could potentially use this as liquidity inducement and then come back lower. So let me just change this color quickly. Moving on to the daily time frame. Daily time frame, this still makes sense because we had a sweep of this low and then the break of structure to the upside. So this is like the refined extreme entry. Here we didn't have any sweeps, like a low swept before this break of structure, so this is why I would be wary about this. But if you just do the premium discount tool, that is in premium discount pricing, so that's fine. And then we have liquidity here to target. At the moment we've broken to the upside with momentum, and you can see we've retraced back in and continue to the upside. So we had this last supply zone here and then a reaction, which is here. So in the upcoming days we could potentially come back into here, sweep that, maybe sweep these lows as well. I'm going to see on the refined 4 hour or 1 hour time frame, and potentially continue higher to target these weekly highs. However, we can still come back into, because we are in premium pricing for buys, so we could potentially come back lower before going higher. That's also a possibility. On the 4 hour, let's see, 4 hour, you can see that, yeah, we had the sweep of this low and then this really aggressive push up, maybe due to news, so that is something we may be wary about. But we have all this liquidity to sweep as well, so if price does want to come back down, this could be a good area to look for longs from, because right now you can see this is a wick and then we retrace back into this higher time frame demand zone, and then we are currently failing to break above the highs at the moment, so we have these highs to target as well. Oh, sorry. 1 hour, we've had a little shift here as well, because you can see bullish move, break, but no candle body, retrace back in, body candle closure, and then this is like a range within this demand zone. Started to shift back bullish, and then now we are, this low should have ideally made a new high if they wanted to continue bullish, but at the moment we have broken down to downside again, so we could potentially see some sells for gold this week to target these lows and come into this high time frame demand. I don't really trade gold, but overall it is bullish, so you are better off buying. But we have all that liquidity, like, look, you can see liquidity here, liquidity here, liquidity here. This low is very, very attracting, so it could come back lower and, you know, whatnot. Right now, if you just look on the 30-minute, we have this demand zone here, and then what caused it? This is the reaction that caused it. This is the reaction point. What is the last thingy, which is basically this whole area. But if you want to refine down, it could be possibly refined down, yeah, on the 15, not really, actually, not 15, 10 potentially, or even 5. But anyway, you can just use this wick, to be honest, because this is the way where the reaction happens anyway. So this would be like a supply area that, oh, wrong one, supply area that you could look for shorts from. So you can use this doji and then use this as inducement, and then look for entries within this area and continue to the downside. And then obviously the target would be the first one here. Okay, next one. How many have I done on? 1, 2, 3. This is my third one. Okay, 4. So AU, you can see that I haven't even like touched this in a while. So we had, last time I was on here was probably last year, as you can see, because this was the target back in the days. So I haven't been on since September. Anyways, this was like my protected high. Why? Because we were in a bearish trend, and then like this is the high, this is the low, and then this is the pullback, and then we had this low being taken eventually, and at the moment this supply zone seems to be holding, even though it hasn't really tapped into it, just about. And then it swept this liquidity here from back in August, and we have some nice order flow back to the downside at the moment on the daily time frame. So this would be the overall target. So if we want to zoom into current price action, we've swept these highs, which is good because this is like inducement for this POI, because early sellers would probably be selling from here back in August, and if I hope they're not holding, because then they'll be taken out by now. But yeah, this was taken out, and then if you look on the daily time frame now, we've had this first shift from bullish on the daily time frame. Yeah. On the daily time frame, we've shifted bullish to bearish, and you can see we have pulled back, swept the highs, come back into this range, not necessarily tapped into the refined area, and broken to the downside again. Here is quite wicky, so this could have been a decisional candle to continue going up because we've reacted from this daily demand. However, you can see that we eventually break with momentum to the downside. Yeah, so let's just do that. So we had this supply zone, and it hasn't really tapped back in, to be honest. So if you just look at this wick, it didn't really tap back into it, but this could be a reason where price could come back to in the future. So on the daily, we are aligned back bearish, even though we could react from like a demand zone, because EU and GU, I'm projecting that we are going to continue higher, and AU should follow basically the same structure, you know what I mean? So let's go into the 4 hour quickly. 4 hour, we've had a sweep of that high, break of structure, continuation to the downside, respect of this supply zone here with inducement here. I can see 4 hour leg is this low, this high, this low. Price has yet to come back into premium pricing for potential better sells, better pricing for sells, and at the moment we are contained within this high and this low. So overall we are bearish, but we haven't tapped into discount pricing for that. So like if we do it here, you can see we've just about tapped into it. So this could be used as inducement to push price up higher into one of these areas, which we will refine down potentially on the 1 hour. This doji looks quite nice, this 4 hour doji. Why? Because it swept some sort of high on the lower time frame, and it's pretty juicy news as well, so maybe it's not very effective, but we have some liquidity here as well. So yeah, at the moment you can see we tried to push down because we reacted high, low, swept, and this low was swept. No candle body closure, continuation to the upside here, low, high, low. So potentially this should have made a new high, which it did, but there's no like body close. And then price swept these lows, and now we have pushed to the upside. And you can see price is slowly, but within this daily range. Yeah. Okay. So now we are. This is very wiki here. Must be due to news. We have reacted to this 4 hour supply of some sort in premium pricing. And we've swept the liquidity here. Oops, why did my line disappear? Who knows, but you get the idea. So we've swept the highs here, and now we took out the highs and then we came back probably to mitigate something on the lower time frame, which I will go down on the 1 hour. And then now we are realigned because this is where the break happens. And if you want to look at it this way, we haven't tapped into here, so this area would be where the supply demand failure happens. But we had a sweep of this high on this time frame, and then we pushed down to the downside. So I want to see on the refined lower time frame to see what area we could look to sell from. Oh look, it's a nice 1 hour POI. I believe this was due to news, not gonna lie to you, so I may not take that. I mean, I don't even trade this pair, but if this was caused by news, then I would not look to trade that, because there are higher probability areas, such as, you know, we've had this wick here. This is like the extreme, even though we wicked back into it, so I would just refine that down to just the wick itself. You have the sweep here and then the break here, so that would be ideal. Liquidity here. This is quite nice because we did break and then we swept the highs and then we broke, because it's like inducing the buyers from this area because there's some sort of demand, but we have tapped into the higher time frame supply, so we could potentially look for sells to target as this as the first target, and then obviously the lower time the overall sells target would be down here. Yeah, so then right now you can see that it was rangy on Friday, so I would like to see some inducement formed for this POI before looking for shorts, because we could potentially continue from here, but this is a good pricing. This I would not look to take trades from because it just looks too obvious, and plus it didn't really sweep anything for me, so you could potentially look for area sells from here as well. It could play out, but it didn't really do anything significant because this is where it actually broke structure with momentum. This is just like internal structure, if that makes sense. And then this is where obviously the bearish move initiated from, so the extreme is always valid. So yeah, basically that's that. Let me think if I should go through any other pairs. I'm not sure how long this video has been already because obviously the time change happened, so I'm not even sure. I'll quickly run through DXY, I guess. DXY on the daily time frame. On the weekly time frame, we are bullish, as you can see, right? And this bullish leg on the weekly time frame I've marked on for since like before this even happened, before this sweep happened, so like early January. Yeah, because I was saying that I was testing out the correlation between DXY and EU, and they are very, very similar. So if DXY is up, then EU is definitely down. But we had this leg, and then we tapped into premium discount pricing for sales. So if I go on a daily time frame, this is a nice area. I was waiting for this low to take play, to sweep. I'm not sure if this was a public video I made or was it in my VIP, but I did expect this low to break, to get swept and then react from this daily time frame. This daily demand zone, which it has at the moment, and you can see that we were bearish coming into this POI, and during Christmas it was quite rangy, and then February time we had this massive push to the upside and continued upside and broke this level of supply. You can see we had a reaction and then broke. Right now we have tapped back into the 4 hour POI, and we are rejecting it off, like rejecting this 4 hour demand zone, so we could potentially come up and take out this high as a high time frame point of view. However, because of US fundamentals, US dollar is actually weak, so we could potentially see more move to the downside and more bullish moves to the upside for EU, GU, and AU. So you have to keep that in mind as well, because obviously fundamentals play a part of this as well. But if I were to look for sells, then I would look for nothing really clear on this daily time frame, because this is where the sweep happens and the break of structure. So extreme is valid, and then I would say here, because it's not really okay. I'm going to go on the lower time frame. Hang on the 4 hour. On the 4 hour, we've reacted to this because this is what caused the break, which is valid. Came back into it. Reaction. Okay, so this is going to be my next 4 hour zone where I'm going to look for price to continue to the downside. So this is like liquidity, but yeah, because earlier we had a reaction to this 4 hour or daily supply here, the daily demand here, where we had a sweep and then we had aggressive push up, but we reacted to this 4 hour supply zone and then we melted to the downside. So now obviously price can't go down forever, so it's pushing up again, and this would be my first area that I would look for sells, which means with EU, let's see, it would be probably realigned with this one. Wait, 20th of March. Give me 1 second. 20th of March. 20th of March. So that was the low, so it has to be a bit lower. So I would say this one actually. Yeah, because the 20th of March created that. So 20th of March created this, basically. And I'm expecting that to get swept. Otherwise, we could be reacting from it today, I meant this week, and continuing lower, because that's a possibility as well, because DXY doesn't need to sweep anything. It's just nice moves to downside and upside. A break of structure, momentum, continuation break. This could be the sweep, and we can continue lower from basically now. So this is the area where we are at the moment. Correlates with this POI that we've tapped into. So yeah, we can continue. We could probably continue to the downside. Okay, I don't know how long this video is, but thank you if you've watched all of it. I hope you found some value, and I hope you take some value from it, I suppose. And I hope you all have a lovely trading week, and I will try to be more active on YouTube and push out more videos, maybe more trade breakdowns or educational videos, but for the time being, this outlook will do for now. So yeah, I hope you all had a lovely weekend and are ready to smash the markets on Monday.